The plot of A Secret Exposed centers on Diana and Rita Melody, two young women sharing the same luxurious mansion but growing increasingly distant as Rita's behavior becomes withdrawn and tense, leaving Diana confused and hurt because they once enjoyed an easy friendship. Diana senses that something serious is going on beneath the surface and confronts Rita in her bedroom, voicing her frustration with the sudden coldness. This opening immediately grounds the story in a universal LGBTQ theme, the stress and secrecy of hidden identity. Many viewers, especially lesbians or questioning women, will recognize the way closeted people sometimes push away those closest to them, not out of dislike but out of fear of being exposed. Rita admits she has been going through internal stuff but stops short of elaborating, a hesitation that mirrors the difficulty many queer people feel when first articulating their sexuality to others. Diana, however, tries to reassure her, offering to listen without judgment, but Rita pleads not to be pushed. This sets up the emotional tension that drives the film, the push and pull between hiding and telling, between closeness and self-protection. The turning point comes when Diana finds Rita curled up on her bed, clearly distressed. Rita hesitantly opens up after extracting a promise that Diana won't tell anyone. She confesses that she made a dating profile seeking a girlfriend, a seemingly private act that backfired when a school friend discovered it and threatened to reveal her secret. This confession reveals layers of shame and fear. Rita feels exposed, vulnerable, and possibly betrayed, echoing real-life stories of involuntary outing that many LGBTQ youth endure. The line "I've never even kissed a girl before" underscores how internal identity is valid even before any outward experience, a point often overlooked in mainstream depictions that insist someone isn't really queer until they've had a same-sex relationship. Diana listens, and rather than recoiling, she connects to her own curiosity, admitting she too has wondered about her orientation. This mirroring effect is important because it models how disclosure can spark mutual honesty and exploration. When Rita reveals she has feelings for Diana, it's both a terrifying risk and an act of liberation. She takes ownership of her desire rather than burying it. Diana's response, initial surprise, but no anger, represents the ideal supportive reaction many queer people wish for from friends or crushes. Impulsively, she kisses Rita, which is framed not as salacious but as tentative and exploratory, matching the emotions of two people stepping into uncharted territory together. Rita's joking gay confirmed. After the kiss lightens the scene, showing how humor often functions as a coping tool in moments of vulnerability, and how queerness can be embraced with joy instead of shame. The film thus depicts a first same-sex kiss as an act of mutual discovery rather than spectacle, pushing back against the male gaze-driven portrayals that have dominated cinema. A Secret Exposed also offers a microcosm of why many lesbians relate to this narrative. Coming out frequently involves a tension between private self-knowledge and public risk, with the internet often playing a role in early identity formation. Dating apps and profiles like Rita's are both tools of self-exploration and potential sites of exposure. Many viewers will identify with Rita's blend of longing and terror, her sense of being caught before she is ready, and the relief of finally confiding in someone who understands. Likewise, women more broadly can relate to the film's deeper themes of autonomy, social pressure, and the difficulty of defining one's desires outside of cultural expectations. Even heterosexual women often experience a form of closet around non-traditional ambitions or lifestyles, and thus the narrative resonates beyond LGBTQ audiences. Addressing the question of why society hates or resists seeing two girls in love, the story's subtext points to entrenched patriarchal and heteronormative norms. Female sexuality has historically been defined in relation to men, for men's pleasure, under men's control, or invisible altogether. Two women loving each other violates both norms. It removes the male spectator and disrupts the heterosexual family model. This dual threat often provokes ridicule, fetishization, or erasure. Rita's fear of her secret getting out and Diana's cautious approach echo how these cultural attitudes still function, even in supposedly progressive spaces. By showing Rita and Diana as multidimensional people whose romance is rooted in emotional intimacy rather than rebellion, the film undermines the phase stereotype and instead normalizes queer love. Another key aspect of A Secret Exposed is how it frames secrecy and disclosure. The very title signals a journey from hidden truth to revelation. Within LGBTQ culture, this is a familiar trajectory, the closet as both protection and prison, coming out as both risk and relief. When Rita asks Diana to promise you won't tell, she invokes the age-old need for safe confidants. Diana's willingness to hold that promise is what allows Rita to move forward. This models allyship and friendship as active choices. Respect confidentiality, listen without judgment, and affirm rather than diminish. The mansion setting adds symbolic weight too. Large houses often stand in for privilege or power, but here the mansion feels isolating, underscoring how closeted life can feel lonely even in beautiful surroundings. The kiss between Diana and Rita marks a shift from isolation to connection, from silence to voice. By presenting this not as scandal but as emotional catharsis, the story invites empathy from all viewers. In doing so, A Secret Exposed pushes back against the stigma that still surrounds two women in love. It demonstrates that their desires are not about shocking anyone, but about seeking authenticity and companionship. The film also raises subtle questions about identity fluidity. Diana's "I've been curious too" suggests sexual orientation can be a spectrum and that self-discovery is an ongoing process, not a single event. This aligns with contemporary understandings in LGBTQ communities about fluidity and the right to explore without shame. In terms of representation, the film joins a small but growing body of media that portray lesbian intimacy as ordinary rather than transgressive. This matters because representation shapes public perception. When audiences see lesbian characters grappling with everyday issues, friendship, trust, heartbreak, coming out, it humanizes LGBTQ people and counters stereotypes. The humor, "God, kissing girls is so fun," and the mutuality, "I think we might both be gay," portray queer joy, which is equally vital. Often media dwell on LGBTQ suffering. Here we see self-discovery as pleasurable and bonding, which offers a hopeful narrative to young viewers struggling with their own identity. Finally, by framing Rita's confession about the dating profile and Diana's supportive response as the emotional heart of the film, A Secret Exposed educates viewers about the real stakes of coming out, especially in a digital age. A private experiment online can have public consequences. Outing can still destroy friendships or reputations, but the presence of one trusted person can transform shame into pride. This is a powerful message, not just for LGBTQ audiences, but for anyone in a position to offer support. In summary, A Secret Exposed isn't really about scandal, but about courage, empathy, and the messy, thrilling process of self-discovery. Lesbians relate to it because it mirrors their own trajectories of secrecy, longing, and first love. Women more broadly can relate to its themes of self-definition, risk, and intimacy. Society resists seeing two girls in love because such images challenge patriarchal control of female sexuality and disrupt heteronormative assumptions. But stories like this chip away at that resistance by showing queer love as natural, mutual, and joyful. The film therefore functions as both a romance and a cultural statement, illustrating that secrets lose their power when exposed to the light and that love between women, far from being taboo, can be as relatable and human as any other form of love. By weaving these themes into its plot and character arcs, A Secret Exposed gives viewers not only a heartfelt story but also a window into the lived realities of LGBTQ identity, turning a private secret into a shared understanding, and doing so with warmth, humor, and authenticity rather than sensationalism.
Mm-hmm.